Can you see it? You see that shit? That's all you, bro.
Yeah.
Usually I change the way that it looks on the image because you can make it like reverse it. It's pretty sick.
Oh, snap.
So just in case I put shit on the screen and stuff too, it comes out how they want it.
That's my good side too.
Bam, you see everything. What's up, man? How's it going?
It's the life, bro.
We got Zach Abeyta on the podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome to MuseMe TV.
Let's do it.
It's that time again.
Let's do it.
That time. Episode 74. That's you, Zach.
Let's do it.
You're on episode 74, man.
I'm living life, dude.
And it's crazy to think about that. The podcast started to boom again once I got back into the comedy, like once I started doing comedy.
Nice.
Because I actually started this podcast as just like I'm into Joe Rogan. I like what he does. I'm going to start doing it. And then I just started doing like my friends and my band and stuff.
Okay.
And then I kind of like died down a little bit. And then now, dude, there's a whole influx of people there. Like there's so much people in the scene that like you can bring on this podcast multiple of times that it's just going to be, I feel, an entertaining time.
You already know what it is.
So with that
I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
With that being said, Zach Abeyta, everybody.
Let's do it.
He's here. He is here. He is here. That's pretty much it, man.
I didn't stretch enough before, but we'll still get crazy. I'll still pick my leg up.
There's no...
We'll live a life.
Dude, that's pretty much what we're going to do. Just chill out, talk about shit. Hopefully interaction happens on the podcast or on the comments. I don't know.
Where do you get listeners from?
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
So we're live right now on YouTube.
The tubes.
What I'm about to do is here in a second, I'm going to share it on a couple of my other things. I got a Twitter, got an Instagram, on Facebook, and I'll tag you in it and see what happens. And just let the conversation go by.
Let's do this.
But Zach.
What's up, brother?
I met you in the comedy scene. You were a comedian.
Yeah, definitely.
Local comedian here. How long have you been doing comedy? What got you into comedy?
Okay.
You're a beast.
I appreciate that. Well, first of all, I want to say that it's like I'm really happy to have met you this past year. You're definitely one of my favorite people, if not my favorite person that I got to like link up with as far as like a newcomer, like, you know, join the scene, because you go about it the right way. You show up as much mics as you can. You have actual material to test out, and you're working on your thing. So I give you that, man. We get a lot of people that come out, and it's just, you see our open mics, bro.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
because that's weird to think about too, how it works. Because I'm still new, but I'm getting the like gist of how the dynamics works and stuff, and like how there's people that have been in the scene for so long, but they take like 2 or 3 month breaks and then they come back, or there's those first timers that try it out, but then they never come back.
Yeah, it's a funny dynamic like that. First of all, you asked, but I've been doing comedy. In March it'll be 3 years.
3 years.
March 23rd. But I wanted to do comedy for a long. I always was a huge comedy fan. I was like, as a kid, would listen to albums with my pops. I remember Dennis Leary playing in like the car, and that was cool because he would be cussing and was kind of absurd and a little like raunchy. And I remember like feeling like I was bonding over that, you know, with my pops and stuff. So comedy was always the thing. Me and my lady were always big comedy fans, so that brought us together. We would see some of our favorite comedians together. Took some trips out of state just to see comedians. And I always was like a huge fan of like comedy. I mean, even movies as a kid, man. Like Jim Carrey was my favorite. Just all that stuff growing up. You know, Robin Williams, Adam Sandler, just all. Like I remember probably falling asleep every night to some different comedy movie.
Right.
That was
just watching something that you put on or something that was on or something.
And the way I finally got it, I don't know how I like finally thought about maybe getting on stage, but I started writing like little joke premises in a journal. And I would like start writing stuff. And I remember telling my dad, who I was working for at the time, I was like, yeah, I wrote this new joke today. My dad's like kind of like a hardcore norteño vato dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, when are you going to get on fucking stage and stop talking about it, and finally do it, dog?
Right, you think you're funny?
And I was like, fuck. And so like literally that pushed me. And the next night that night I found open mics. The next night I went and did one. And realized that there was pretty much an open mic every night almost, except for like the weekends. And so I was like, I hit every open mic ever since that night.
Okay, so my question is, 3 years ago when you were doing this, how much open mics were there, and which were the ones, if you remember?
Okay, so I do exactly remember. So it was Monday night at Back Alley, which doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, see?
And that was John Quare and Kevin's open mic. Was probably my favorite one because that was like, I don't know, just felt like home base, dude. It just was like the comedians hang out. It was a cool little room. It would have a good audience once in a while. It kind of like slowed down towards the end, but that's just kind of how mics are once they taper off and venues stop really supporting the host. But so that was Monday night, and then it was Tuesday night. They actually had one. That's so funny. None of these places even exist. There was one at Monk's Brewery.
Okay.
And that's not even open anymore. But that was like the corner of like Silver and Third. Wednesday night was Red Door, but the old location.
The one
Gold.
that's on the next, like on the other side. Okay. Because the first time I went to comedy night, I was going to go and I went to that location. And I was like, oh man, there's nothing going on here. Like, what is going on? And that was right when they just transitioned.
Okay.
And I was just then, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll have to figure it out. But then everyone told me, like, it's on Central. Like, it was there because they still have, like.
I liked that location a little bit better, to be honest. Just as far as, like, the hang was cooler. If there was an audience that wanted to like not necessarily listen to the mic, there was like different parts that they could hang out, so the sound didn't directly like it didn't sound as loud where you were trying to do comedy. I like that location a lot. That was cool. I still like the new one, but yeah, that one I really enjoyed. They had the vault area to kick it in. That was pretty cool.
Sick.
Thursday, I don't remember what was, maybe if even there was one on a Thursday, but they moved Monks pretty right away from Tuesday to Thursday. So Monks right away moved to Thursday. Friday was just Kevin Kennedy's show. He pretty much had his weekly show.
And he's been doing that for quite a while.
And that was at Rio Bravo Brewery, like when he first started up. Well, yeah, exactly. I think when I started, he didn't have like weekly shows, but pretty soon after, he started doing the Friday night at Rio Bravo every Friday.
Okay.
So I was trying to get on that as much as possible. And Saturday there wasn't really anything popping, but Sunday there was Bozy, which doesn't exist anymore either.
Yeah, see, and that's another crazy thing too, because that was the first mic I started at too.
Okay,
but it barely freaking 3 nights in, and then all of a sudden it's already being closed down. Like the last show is that I remember is just at Julian's like going away party show or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, how does that work? Like, why do mics go and come, and how do you get like to be able to do that at certain mics? Like, how does like I know the Raw and Sauce one just recently opened up. Does Royal know that guy, or does he talk to them, or do you just like, what's up, man? I'm trying to start an open mic.
Venue. It's mutual benefit. It gives incentive. Like you doing it on a mic gives incentive for like people to come in on a slow night. They usually give you a weeknight, one of their slower nights, and that way it kind of draws a little bit of a crowd that wouldn't be there normally. Like Raw and Sauce, at least 12 of us show up every Tuesday. That wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Granted, some venues like hate. Like I don't really drink at the mics, pretty much at all. So some people will be like, oh, I know Josh got a hard time one time at Blue Grasshopper by an employee just for like, he's like, you want a drink, man? He's like, no, and he's like gave him a hard time for not ordering a drink. But I get it. Venues have to make money, and I think that's one of the reasons why the mic shut down. If they don't see a good turnout, time and time again, they'll probably switch it up and try something different.
All right. So just after a certain point, they're just like, well, it's not, and nothing's happening.
Yeah. And I think the hosts have to like keep working at it too. It's hard. Like weekly is definitely harder than monthly, because you're promoting weekly. And open mic's so nuts too, because it's not like you're booking solid people. Anybody in the city could come sign up. So you legit get people that have a couple fuses fucking that shut off in 1984, if you know what I'm talking about. Dude, they come out. You see people that are legit like, oh, okay, they got some issues popping for sure. For sure.
Okay, so then how is that for established other comics around like the Southwest and stuff like that? Like, so say if somebody's coming from like Denver and stuff, do they know that there's an established comedy scene here, and do they know where the places are, or do they kind of have to like, oh, word of mouth, hopefully somebody tells me shit's going down?
Yeah, I mean, they'll reach out to someone they know, or the Facebook groups online. That's what I usually see. I'll get a lot of messages just from people because I run my monthly show. Like, hey, I'm passing through. Do you got a spot this day or not? Sometimes it's kind of hard because I only have my show like once a month on like the final Saturday. So unless you're coming on that day, I could only like help you so much. But it's really having my own show. Never thought would help me network so much with out-of-state comedians, because it really does help be able to book them, having somebody else to reach out to when you want to go out to state. Like I'm be in Denver February 20th through the 23rd, and I reached out to a homegirl that runs a showcase similar to the one I run, like a monthly showcase in a really cool room. She booked me to headline it. I booked her to headline it the weekend after. So
oh, nice.
Just like cool. And we met at a comedy festival. You know what I mean? So all that networking stuff.
See, that's so crazy. I know none of this shit. Like, how does that even work? Like, there's a comedy festival that you like attend, like pay money to go see.
And this is the
like,
thing is, there's so many comedy festivals.
how does that even work? Yeah, because I know of some. Like, I like the comedy scene. I kind of watch a lot of like Kill Tony, Joe Rogan's guys and stuff like that. Like Skank Fest and shit like that.
You hear of like Just for Laughs, like the big ones, right? They used to have one called Oddball Comedy Festival, which is like, just like all the big acts would be there and up and comers, and they're you know, from openers to features to, you know, some of the biggest international acts. But I also like the first festivals I got into were like ESCA, not even comedy festivals. Like I remember doing this rave in the middle of nowhere, like 45 minutes outside of Durango, literally in the forest. It was the first hour of comedy I had to do.
Holy shit.
During the day, outside in the dirt, in the forest, dude. To a bunch of like hungover rave kids. It was it was fun. Like looking back on it, it was still a cool experience, but you're like, that's not a comedy festival.
Yeah. You were like there for the attraction. Like a comedy
we were like
act.
We were like the third stage, like the non-music stage, and we had to follow straight up like topless burlesque dancers. Yeah. And after you're seeing full tit, dude, after you see full areole, the cornhole and the areole, brother, you don't want to hear. You're done after that. You don't want back to the tent.
So it was a hard act to follow.
You know what? It actually ended up working out really good because I was like, I only really had about a extremely loose hour of material at that time. So I had an hour to talk about. It doesn't necessarily mean it was even close to a good hour. But some of the stuff I talked about really hit with some of those people there. Like I had this joke where I would talk about me and my dad going to 10,000 Waves in Santa Fe, but it's just like Japanese spa and resort where there's hot tubs and all that shit.
Yeah.
And I was telling the story, and like one of the dudes in the audience happened to actually work there. So it like super hit, and we're in the middle of nowhere in another state. And he's like, I work there, bro. And he's like wearing like this white fucking one-piece jumper. It was a weird. There was dogs in bikinis doing acro yoga. It was nuts.
That's pretty sick. Like my only experience probably with something like that is like probably when I was like, I'm gonna say 16, where like me and my friends went to Cuba, New Mexico to go hang out at this fucking the Rainbow Gathering, which is just like a bunch of hippies and stuff that just like gather once a year, and they always do it in different locations in the woods of like North America, like wherever, like Utah. But this year they picked Cuba, New Mexico, and we went up there, and it's like a week festival, fucking just kind of like what you're saying, like a bunch of hippies, tits everywhere, fucking
pasties, brother.
The craziest time of my life.
Some hasty pasties, dog.
But to think that it's like a festival for like a week, and like to think like you never know, there probably could have been comedy guys up there and stuff doing something. Like, oh man,
you ever see a ginger girl in the middle of the forest, and she's wearing some hasty pasties, and it's dusty as fuck out there, so one of them's kind of falling off, and it has so much dust that she can't stick it back on, so she just got the loose pasty waving all over it.
Trying to freaking patch it back on.
Waving all over the rave grounds.
Oh, man. Shout out, Nico. Thank you for watching, man. We got 4 viewers
What's
on
up,
right
Nico,
now.
the comic, brother.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you guys are listening, got any questions for Zach over here, just put them in the comment section. If not, we're just going to be talking more.
Yeah, and this is good that you asked, because, you know, as a new comic, I'll throw it out there, too. I'm not necessarily the dude. I'm not in the game enough, and it's not my style to walk up to a new comic and just offer advice. I feel like it's like when you're in the gym and like the old dude walks up and it's like, let me show you how to do that. Let me help you out with your form.
That's kind of
like I didn't ask, bro. Like, you know, so I'm always down to talk shop about comedy or like let you know what I've came across so far. But I'm not just gonna be like, hey, this is what I think you should be doing.
Yeah.
But so ask away. New cats that are listening, feel free to ask away at the mics. I'll let you know what I've came across so far.
My buddy Blockchain Engineer here says he's going to be there at the Bob Saget show.
Oh, dope. Yeah, Bob Saget this weekend.
That's going to be sick. Like, how does that even work? Like, you've been grinding shit, so obviously you're getting noticed.
You know what? It's just one of those things. So one of the first pieces of advice I ever got from a comedian actually was at the Star. Me and my lady went to go see Brian Posehn, and it was his opener. After the show, I asked him, like I said, I was thinking about getting into comedy, and I was like, hey, man, any piece of advice you could give somebody that's thinking about starting stand-up? And he's just like, do every room you can.
Yeah, see?
So he's like, do every room you can. Yeah. And that's when I've gotten opportunities from the craziest rooms. Kevin Kennedy for a while had this. He was doing a bowling alley room on 4th Street, the bowling alley on 4th Street, and he would get audiences of like 5 to 10 people. You know what I mean? Just like barely anyone there. But I was still trying to get any reps in I could, and there wasn't Friday. I would just look at it like the Friday night open mic or something, or just much stage time as I could.
Yeah.
And I did a set there, and then within my first year of comedy, I got booked by this dude that was trying to like put on shows for a bigger spot, and then from there got recognized for more people. And even like Friday, dude, like I did that cannabis event that we were talking about. I do a lot of stuff for the cannabis industry. I work in the cannabis industry and have for about a decade now. Been a patient for about that amount of time as well.
Holla.
And I was at this event Friday. It was like a buddy's private event, but there's like a bunch of vendors there, and it's really cool. It's usually just all patients, and everybody's smoking up and having a good time.
It's networking.
Yeah, it's networking. That's how I look at it. But it's a better event for sure for like music than comedy, because everybody's walking around. It's almost like a farmer's market where everyone's just smoking up.
Yeah, I've seen those before. Like, oh man, the dude that I've told you about, the guy from like Dabble and stuff. I've gotten some invitations. Okay. Yeah, so like I want to go check it out. Just haven't. Oh man,
they're so dope, dude. And so my homie asked me, he's like, "Will you perform?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was at the El Rey. Like they have a legit stage. Like, dude, I'll get on. I'll mess around for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got there, and then it was like sectioned off, so they didn't have the main stage.
So you could only be like in.
It was only
area.
the bar. It was like the lobby and the bar downstairs, and then when there's like the 2 stairs that walk down to the main stage area, they blocked it off at that. So the whole main stage area and open floor area was pretty much blocked off. So you had the bar and the upstairs bar area. Yeah. So they had the stage set up upstairs in the corner, and you couldn't like with the way it was set up, like people couldn't really see you too much. Like maybe 10 to 15 people around that little area could see you.
Yeah,
but other than that, it wasn't like key for stand up.
Yeah.
And I told my homies, he's like, yeah, I'll still do my thing if you want. I'll, do a little bit of time, or even if you want, I'll just help announce some of the acts. And they had brought this comedian from California he goes by Stoner Rob. He does a lot of stuff with the industry out in California and the cannabis industry out there. And we were networking a little bit. And my buddy introduced me to him, and he just like, hey man, I run a show at the Improv in Ontario. You want to, fill the spot? And I was like, are you kidding me, dude?
Dope.
The Improv in like Cali? Yeah, for sure. So I was like, hell yeah. And then right before I go to go on stage, you hear like clap. Like a loud ass sound, and everybody like kinds of looks around, but it didn't sound too loud. Like it didn't for sure sound like if it was like a gunshot or something. And everybody just kind of joked it off. And I go on stage, and I only do a few minutes because, like I said, it's just as much as I could keep focus. You know what I mean? Once it could have started losing the attention, I just like wrapped it up.
Yeah, you weren't trying to get
exactly. Just want to talk to myself. And or you don't want to like make yourself look bad either. If it's material that is solid in a room where people are going to be like paying attention, you don't want to be throwing it out there and it sound like you're bombing a material. That's like that works.
That's weird how that works too, because doing multiple rooms over so many times is just like.
Oh, I'll tell you my best bomb story of the year after this.
All right, so you were still doing the whole you didn't want to do a bunch of super solid material.
Yeah, so I was just messing around a little bit, doing a lot of like short one-liners and just little quick little tricks and stuff, and then I got off stage and I go downstairs and I could see the vendors like packing up. I was like, that's weird, because it was only like a couple hours into this event. It was like 7:30 and this event's supposed to go on till 11, right? Okay. And then I see this guy kind of making a scene, talking about getting shot, like who shot me?
Yeah, what's going on?
And he's like something, and then he like points at his foot, and you could see like the rubber of his shoe was like ding, like all like it didn't go in his foot or his shoe, but you could tell like hit the side of his shoe.
Oh, so it was a big old still chunk and shit.
And I had a couple friends. My pops was there because my dad loves those events. My dad dabs out like crazy, legit. And he's all about it and stuff. And I told him, I was like, I think this fool got shot or something's kind of weird. And he's all, this is sketchy. He's all, let's go to your place, because I live on the same block as El Rey, so it's right there.
Yeah.
And so we go to my place, and by the time we're walking up to my loft, you hear vroom, 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 and a bunch of cops coming, and before you know, everybody's like evacuating the El Rey like ants. And the only thing I could think of is like, I just got booked, and I didn't get that guy's like info.
Oh man.
I was like, shit. So I like find him on Instagram, and they're just like, yo, bro, nice meeting you. Just letting you know, like, I'm still down to do your show. And he's like, definitely, I got you on. So
nice.
That's grinding, bro. Where you take opportunities in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where fools cheddar bob. Because this is the thing. It ended up being the dude that was complaining about who shot me was the one's gun who went off.
Oh yeah.
So the dude cheddar bobbed himself in the foot. and then try to make it look like someone else shot him. So you have to go to places in Albuquerque basically where fools shoot themselves in the foot to get booked out of state.
Man. Oh, that's so, and I wonder if it was on more of an accident on his end or is actually pleading for attention or something because, what the fuck, bro? Like, literally, that's one of those,
Yeah. And the really sad part, actually, like, the only bummer about that thing, other than it fucking ruining the event, is all those sesh events that, like, I've ever been to have been the best vibes. Even though everybody at the table is basically all selling the same shit, no one's like competing or having like weird, I don't know, like tension or anything. It's all love. People were walking around smoking, all just for like the love of being a patient and cannabis and medicating up in like an environment that's like you've always dreamed of. Like you're, it's in high school and you're smoking joints with your friends, like
all sketched out. Yeah,
we wish we could just do this inside and not have to fuck. Because that was the game, bro. I think paranoia of smoking weed only came from how crazy you had to hide it.
I mean, that's what people say the fixation with early drinking is like, I can't really do it, so I'm going to try to sneak it. So, I mean, I can kind of get that kind of incentive with, like, weed is so bad now. But, I mean, look at how much now it's so lenient. Like, people don't fucking... In certain places, I mean, you'll still have those people that are just like, it's so bad and stuff. But, I mean, if you don't think... in some way now, in this time, that marijuana is some way helpful or beneficial, then I kind of think it's like crazy.
You ever I've never met someone from Denver that looks fucking bummed out. You know what I mean? They don't look healthy, I'll tell you that.
But I've only been to Denver one time, and it was just for a Comic-Con, and everyone there kind of did look like if they were just totally done, but...
No, I went to like a cannabis event there once, and it was just like all dudes with the snapback hats with pins all over the hats, beards, dude, and it was like so hot. It was summer, and they were just the sweatiest dudes.
Oh, man.
And I was like, yeah, this is a different scene up in here.
Because they have a pretty good comedy scene up there, too.
You know
right?
what? Actually, that's what the comedy scene out there is so ill. It's so ill. I mean, I said I haven't been everywhere, but from like the little bit of research I've done, I'd say it's comparable as close you could get with a big scene like LA and New York. As far as there's set, like Comedy Works, one of the best clubs you could get into. And there's two of them. They have an improv. They have small comedy clubs. And then they have a ton of great rooms that really good comedians run.
Yeah, that are doing like what everyone here does, open
Exactly.
mics and shit like that.
Exactly.
Bunch of showcases.
I think they're seeing solid. You could get up multiple times, even in like the open mics. Like almost every night, there's multiple open mics. I had a couple buddies from Durango that moved there for comedy. I originally was like L.A. off the bat. I'm like L.A. I'm gonna move there. That's the move. That's where Comedy Store is, right? That's where Laugh Factory is. That's where all
the big guys. It's Hollywood,
exactly.
Right?
And then I was like, didn't realize how green of a thought that was, and I don't have the best connections out there quite yet. In Denver, I'm making really good connections. Even in like Phoenix, I have some good connections. So now I'm starting to think, okay, maybe one of those cities being the move between Phoenix and Denver, and I'm starting to pinpoint it more to Denver just because I already have like friends that are like really in solid, like in the clubs, already kind of grinding, and I'm getting booked. Like every time I go out there, I get booked better and better shows. I got my first headlining set, like I said, in February. I got 2 shows after that on Friday and Saturday night, really good rooms. So I'm really considering Denver for a move. It's awesome out there. And even as an open micer, if you wanted to go out there, they have an awesome website. I think it's 5280.com or comedy.com, something like that. And it's very structured, all the open mics and so
stuff you could even hit if you're just down there just to fucking say.
It's just level too. The first time I went out there was all open mics. The second time I ever went out there was with Josh Fournier. We had one show, and then like through networking that first show, we like piggybacked a couple, like a second and third show. So we ended up doing 3 shows. Not the best rooms, but we networked really well. And then I went back in November by myself, had 4 shows, all awesome rooms, different rooms. And then right away I was like just trying to get back there as much as possible. So then booked myself again for February. So I'm doing AZ in February, Denver in February, AZ in March. What do I got in April? I got something in April coming, or California in April. I have Durango in May. I forgot where I have in Oh, and then I have Denver again in July. I just got booked for a comedy festival out there as well.
Holy shit.
So I'm booked all the way. Because I'm only trying to do one out of state trip a month. Like that's pretty much the only thing that's financially feasible at this point. I'm not rolling the dough, so I have to work that day job just to do
Doing
comedy.
it all one time too, like try to hit them all as much as you can.
Or every once a month do an out of state, like a weekend trip.
Oh, okay.
Basically, but I can't basically book more out of state stuff than that. Is what I'm getting at.
Well, I mean, it is a growing process as well too. I mean, 3 years into it, I mean, you're still pretty ambitious. I feel like going into there, being able, like, especially now, like, you never know what kind of opportunities can come from actually doing opener sets for people at the stage. Like,
exactly.
Bob Saget, like, what the fuck? That's gonna be pretty crazy.
The stage thing came in kind of a surprise because I'm by far the host that's been doing comedy the least. Like all the other, they had the same host forever. It was this dude Benny, and he was he was our only host. I guess way back in the day, they used to let local comedians open it up, and I guess there were some bad experiences, and they're just like totally cut off local comedians from getting booked
at the stage.
Okay. And they just had that one dude Benny who was like a radio DJ. I don't exactly know if that's true or not, but something of that nature. And he was their regular host.
Yeah.
And then once he stopped last year, I don't exactly know who I was recommended by. That, I mean, so that's the cool part. But I know you have to have 3 recommendations, and then they contacted me, and they said send in your info, your clip, your bio, everything, bro. I had to send in my ancestry report, 23andMe, dude.
I had to know everything.
Shoe size? Like, what was your shoe size when you were in 7th grade? I was like, come on,
dude. They just need that. They want it ready for when you hit the green.
I know, they wanted my Hotmail password. I'm like, now you guys are pushing it. No, and then so sent them all my info. Got okayed to come try it out as a host, and now I think there's only 4 of us that do it. But I mean, it's a blessing. It's a great opportunity. It's the closest thing we have to a club. It's one of the only places that big acts come through.
Yeah, that stop besides casinos, right?
Exactly. I mean, it is a casino.
Yeah.
So it's like a.
It's its own stage. That's what, like,
really cool,
the stage in Santa Ana Star.
The stage at the Star.
Yeah, so I get that, but then there are those other acts that kind of like hit like fucking Isleta or something, or fucking
and that's the thing.
Sandia or
now
something.
I need to figure that out because I know Isleta gets acts
like good ones too. I'm just like, what
they
the
just
fuck?
Had,
Why?
Jay Leno,
George Lopez is gonna hit it or something.
But I don't know. I just got to go reach out to them. That's how you just got to go do the footwork. You got to be a salesman.
Who's the guy? Who would you go to? Like, you walk into the door. Can you please point me to?
It's like your the
booking of comedy section. I mean, obviously
like
you can go in on the website, right? It probably look for shit like booking information, shit like that, maybe.
Yeah, stuff like that. But then you want to check out a show, start to look like who's the man, who's running it, who's the person that's kind of in charge. Look for the person with the clipboards.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
And that kind of how it works, right?
Yeah, man. And a lot of it's just that we're like, take all those weird opportunities, all those weird festivals, all the because you never know. Even every time I've done something and I thought, that was an opportunity that was, I don't want to say a waste of time, but just like nothing was going to come of it.
Yeah.
Someone's like, I saw you at so-and-so, or I had a friend saw you at so-and-so and they recommended you, so I want to hire you for this or that. So just keep grinding, keep trying out stuff. Don't ever, if people are knocking you for trying jokes over and over again, that's what we're doing. We're crafting.
Yeah, that's what I've learned about this too. Is like you kind of just have to keep going out there to pull them all off. Because it's just like any other skill, though. That's why I like to bring up your dancing too. It's like you gotta practice that shit, bro. You're not just gonna be like, I'm gonna hit the mat and just be able to do all kinds of shit.
No, for sure.
Like I see you, like
yeah. So I b-boyed for a long time.
That's what that's called.
That's like the right term. Like if somebody's like, I'm a break dancer.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, if somebody's like, I'm a break dancer, you're like, no, oh, all right.
But that's like the style of doing like the. I don't see that's different. Like, what is pop and lock inside of there too? And then they also have other kind of stuff like that.
Quick breakdown. So like a b-boy is someone that could like style out. They could dance. They could do footwork, hit freezes, do some power moves. If someone usually tells you they're a break dancer, they maybe could have like a couple flashy moves. They'll maybe do like a backflip and maybe like a spin move or a head spin. but they don't like rock. They don't really hit all the styles and fully like dance to the beat.
Okay.
And that's the difference between like a b-boy and someone that would like just say I'm a break dancer.
Okay.
And even when we like get down, we'll be like we're let's go b-boy, or we're b-boying. We don't even really like we will say it kind of to the like if we're doing an interview or if we're like talking
it's like
to
a secret society. Holy
yeah,
shit.
exactly. Just because it is like a very broken down lingo. And then it's funny because popping and locking, everybody says it together. Completely different different styles of dance. Popping alone has maybe like 8 styles plus. Okay. So popping is going to be more of like you're waving when you see people like tutting and all that stuff. Ticking, strobing, all those are like styles of popping. Where locking is like super old school 70s, where you see guys that do it like a lot of wrist rolls and claps. Like I can't really lock, but it's a different style of dancing for sure. And there's like house dancing. That's like another like popular freestyle hip hop dance too. There's a bunch of stuff. I love it, man.
Right, like different forms of like robot and shit like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean it's like robot. I would consider like animations, another style of popping. It's deep. It's deep.
Yeah, that's just like any other trend or anything. Like,
if anybody wants to check out any like dance stuff, I definitely recommend an event coming up called Breaking Hearts. We don't have too many like hip hop jams anymore, but that's still one of them that's good for spectators to see not only breaking but like all styles of hip hop and popping and freestyle dance.
Shit that goes on.
Yeah, for sure.
That's nice. I'll have to go check it out because I actually been into that kind of shit before. Like to do it. I've been into cosplay before, like dressing up like in Comic Cons and shit like that. And for one of the routines, I've actually did like a skit of dancing, and I tried to replicate the Backstreet Boys fucking Backstreet's Back. And I learned most of it. I get the rhythmic pattern and what you have to do for like learning how to do the dancing and stuff. But it's such a different level when you're learning so many other things. Like I can't remember the exact term of what it was because I was just looking at a video of it too. But it's like that technique where you start like air flipping with your hands. Okay. And you kind of like you just rotate. You're not
like spinning, like kind of like that.
But still on your hands.
I know what you're talking about.
You're not on your back or anything like that. That's so intense. I'm just like, fuck, that's sick. And that's like one of those stupid little things where like it would be cool to learn.
No, I hear you. Yeah. I taught classes for a long time. And I don't want to say a long time, probably a little bit over 2 years. And I really enjoyed that. It was like mostly the kids. I had some older students once in a while too, but mostly like kids from 9 to 12. And I had a blast. I taught at 2 different studios. I even taught an adaptive dance program with a couple of other instructors where we would teach people with special needs. Oh, shit. And that was people of all ages, of all different types of special needs and adaptive needs. So that was really fun and really humbling, man. Like you got to see, because in breaking, this is the thing that I like about comedy more than the b-boy scene, is in b-boying, everybody has this like they have to keep this facade that they're so cool and they're so fresh all the time and like that too cool for school vibe. And now like I ain't gonna be silly, man. That's just fucking whack.
Not even checking it out.
Yeah, bro. It's just like always too cool and shit. Not everyone. I don't want to say all b-boys like that, but that's just like some of the overall vibe that I would get from cats. And I'm a pretty silly person. Like once you get to know me, once I feel like comfortable in a setting, I'm a pretty silly person naturally. So that's the thing I like to be in comedy. Like I just could be goofy as it could be. That's why you half the time see us like making silly videos or just doing random stuff outside and stuff like that. And so that's the thing I like, is just being able to be goofy and silly and not always have to be super cool. Yeah. Steezed out.
And that's how weird that happens too. It's like I kind of feel that way how it was in like the music scene when I was playing heavy metal. Okay. Like, it's like everyone's cooler than the other band and like, oh yeah, we're a little more uptight. We're not even going to watch these guys play, shit like that.
But you guys all dress the same? So
yeah. And we all play at the same show and shit like that.
You buy your hair scrunchies at the same Sally's on 4th Street and you want to act cooler than me?
Tune your guitar the same dumb way, right?
But that's getting back to teaching the adaptive students. That's what I liked about that class, is they had no ego. It was people, like I said, of all ages, of all different functioning levels, and everybody. You saw people dancing and having the best time, dude. And then I got really out of my comfort zone and really humbled me too, because when the ballet dancer was up there, I'm having a dance. I'm dancing with him and doing ballet, and I didn't know how to do that. Yeah. Or like lyrical, like some of the dances, and then I would go up and teach some breaking and some hip hop and that was a blast, man. I really enjoyed that. It was tough because it's like Saturdays from 12 to 2 in Rio Rancho.
Oh,
so
shit.
It's a real
the travel.
It's a trek for sure.
Yeah.
But man, I really enjoyed that. That was fun for sure.
It.
The most humbling thing, you go there, when you leave, you're just your ego's just checked, dude.
Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna like? Yeah, who are you trying to impress?
Exactly. When you're down, and you know the silly stuff happens, bro. There's a couple times, like there's one time this young girl was like started twerking all inappropriately in class, and and they're like trying to get her. They're like doing ballet walks, and this girl's just getting it, dude, twerking, and she's trying to twerk on this other boy with special needs, and he's tripping out.
That's what you see,
and that's my group, of course,
right.
Because that's what happens.
That's the hip hop side of it.
Yeah, so I enjoy that, and when I first started comedy, I realized that I always just like who I am and where I come from is like the biggest part of what is like I hold true to myself. So I'm like I used to talk about breaking a lot more on stage. I don't know why I don't as much. I need to bring it back, but I would talk about like dancing and battling and a couple jokes and that's where I started getting real physical. So I don't know if you've seen some of that material that I do because I don't do it at the open mics as much as I do like my book shows. But I wanted a way to like showcase my physicality without necessarily having to start dancing or like get on my head or be in a freeze.
Yeah. Okay.
To get across the point that I can dance. So I instead would just like I would be doing a joke and I would just throw like a crazy flexible high kick or like a fan kick. And I don't necessarily off the bat look like a flexible dude. So if I'm like boop, 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 and then boom, like really physical movement, it's misdirection, but by like physicality instead of wordplay.
Okay.
So you know what I mean, and then you started, and then once you get it, like start moving a little bit more, and you know going into your act outs, and using it there, like not always just being bouncing off the walls, but using it in spurts, using it in timed moments to draw the attention, pull focus, or get the reaction you're looking for, and so I would do that instead of like actually dancing.
Okay.
And then there was times where people like. Every time I would start getting introduced a certain way, like notice this, if people start introducing you and they start saying the same style about how you do comedy or who you are. When I very first started, I do a lot of material about my family. And I still had like a lot of jokes about my dad. I have this story joke about my grandfather who had cancer and I still tell that. That's like my closer when I do 45 or hour long sets. I'll close out still with that story about my grandpa. And people would be like, oh, you're like a storytelling comic. I remember being at an open mic, and they're like, we're going to put you in the second half because you do like more like storytelling, and we want people that are like kind of quick up front.
Yeah, see, that's so weird to think about that there's so many genres of comedy stylings, like storytelling, prop comedy, and stuff like that. Like all that shit that comes in is like so fucking weird.
Yeah,
but,
like character acts and
improv, all that shit.
Hey, somebody give me a city in Mississippi.
Let me just go ahead and get it all situated, right?
And so when I got like people were telling me I was like a storytelling comic, that's when I started to be like, I want to use my physicality and I want to like do movements that other people can't recreate. That's like I used to do this joke where I'd like almost like pick up my head and put it over my leg and put it over my head, and it's just like silly stuff. And then people started introing me like, this next comedian's crazy energetic, and he bounces off the walls, and he's super physical. And you almost,
now they expect that.
Exactly. So if you go, and then if you're not working on material that's like crazy acting, yeah, exactly. So I'm already expecting that and then after that, I would go up there and I would sit down. Like all last summer, I like just sit. If you like look at my pictures from last summer, I'm like sitting down on almost all of them.
Okay.
So I go and sit down. And then once I would like feel comfortable or just want to do my act out, like I stand for the act outs and I'd sit back down, and just to get away from kind of how I was always being introed. And then someone even told me like, oh, you do a lot of like Hispanic based material, or you know, a lot of like New Mexico references and stuff, which I like to do. You know what I mean? Especially here in town.
Yeah. Why wouldn't?
But then I was like, okay, and then I started writing a bunch of stuff that was just like super random, just. So every time I get someone like describes me a certain way, I'll write away from that.
Okay, just to start opening up more avenues and stuff too. Because I can see where if people think you're a one note kind of person, that's just kind of.
Just never staying in a comfort zone too.
That's true.
Just never seen, it's always good to get out of your comfort zone. That's something I learned just throughout life in general. Like random stories. Like one time I was in college when I started b-boying really heavily, and I was breaking a lot with my homies, and I was like getting into a crew, and I was going to UNM at the time, and I was looking through the classes, the extracurricular classes, and I saw that they had hip hop dance classes.
Oh shit.
They had hip hop 1 and hip hop 2, and hip hop 1 was full, and being like totally ignorant, I fucking was like, oh, I'm a b-boy who's like brand new, not even that good. I'm like, I could sign up for hip hop 2, and they'll probably just have me do my own thing. Like I'll come in and they'll do like their choreography, and then I'll probably just like break and hit some moves. Nah, friend.
That was it.
Nah, friend. It was a bunch of ladies and me, and they were doing choreo and getting it and body rolls, and I'm like, and it's just one of those things. Yeah, bro. But also, it was a bunch of banging hip hop dancers with like abs and shit, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll try this out for a few weeks.
I can still stick with this.
And I was horrible, but I stuck out the whole class, dog.
Nice.
Did I get a date at the end of the class? No, friend, but that's not what matters. I hit my solo at the end, and I killed my body rolls, dog.
They appreciated you there.
They appreciated me. I got most improved dancer, I think.
There you go, right? They had a little award.
No, but just the getting out of your comfort zone was good. Like, even right now, I signed up for a salsa class with my lady.
Yeah, I see that.
She's always wanted it. She's, like, already pretty good at salsa, but never taken an actual class. I don't know anything about that. I could b-boy and, like, get down a little bit. I feel comfortable dancing, but that's not... I don't know how to partner dance. I can two-step with my grandma.
It kind of does help, though, right? At least you know of like rhythmic movement and stuff like that. Sure. Being able to know stuff like that, it kind of does help. So it's pretty cool. But I'm pretty sure it's a whole different game.
I want to try some other stuff out too. Like I'd love to take like some kind of like a grappling class, because that's always super. Like I like bodybuilding and weightlifting is always something I've really been into as well. Like my dad was an old school bodybuilder, and I was not ever an athletic or in shape kid growing up. Like I was a chubby, chunky kid in middle school. In high school, I lost weight but didn't have like any muscle mass. It wasn't until I was in college when I actually started working out and eating like, I don't want to say even better, because I thought I was eating good now. I thought I was eating good then, and I was really just putting food in me. But I started getting into weightlifting, and that's turned into something I loved over the years. I don't ever want to like compete or be like a crazy big bodybuilder, but I love lifting weights and the sport, and the dedication that I've gotten from that helps in comedy. It helps stay dedicated. It helps to be able to like, all right, I'm going to do this open mic every night this week, and I'm not going to drink, and I'm going to write, and I'm going to try out new material. And it's just like the dedication you take from one, like whatever you're dedicated in and you're passionate about, take that same dedication and apply it in everything else.
Yeah, that's such beautiful. That greatest words ever spoken, because that's so true, is because if you want to be good at a skill, you have to want to do it and be passionate about it. Anything. Like, I've been playing guitar for about, like, at least 11 to 12 years. So, like, I know the struggle of how hard it takes. Like, I look back and I'm just like, I sucked back in the day. Like, it took so long to get as good as I am now. But now I can throw on music and throw on anything, jam for hours, entertain people for years, and just be like, hell yeah. But it took so long to build to that. And now having that discipline with the guitar, transitioning to the comedy scene, I get it. I'm not going to get any better if I'm just like, oh, well, I'll do a mic on Wednesday and on Thursday if I can. Yeah. I have to try my best to get out there every fucking night.
And I see that, bro. And that's why I might not have said something right away, but once I saw you out a little bit, I was like, yo, I see you're coming out, dog. Like, keep doing it.
Yeah.
And Josh will maybe give me shit sometimes because I can seem a little standoffish at the mics, or sometimes I'm like so silly that it's like almost like a way for me. It's a defense mechanism for me to avoid conversation. Because if I'm being like over the top silly and saying things that are almost like rhetorical statements, it doesn't really offer any openings for someone to like conversate back with me. Okay. So a lot of times if you'll see me just like, wow, like say some wild shit, that's just honestly me avoiding conversation.
Just trying to get
just my weird anxieties and stuff. And
is that from like trying to like getting introduced to new people in a new scene, or just the weird interaction happens at those kind of scenes?
I think doing open mics for 3 years straight consecutively, I've seen so many people come and go in this short amount of time. I've seen so many people that are literally just out of their shit coming to these open mics. Like, you're like, yo, this person needs some legit like social help, bro.
Do you think we have one of those right now?
Oh, guaranteed. There's 3 at least.
That's a good one.
But I've seen so many people, even people that like have a good head on their shoulders, and they come and they're bright stars, bro. They come into the game and they're green, and right away they want to go out of state. They want to headline shows, and they don't even have 5 minutes of good material. Okay. And they're like little bright stars, and they fizzle out, dude. And there's people you'll see start in a few months, and then a few months later they make websites and everything, and then 6 months later they're not even around
doing anything.
Like, I've seen it so many times already. So my biggest thing is I wait till I see someone that looks like they're going to be consistent, someone that looks like they're enjoying it, someone that looks like they're going about it the right way, and I'll be like, yo, man, I'll give a props right now to Jimmy Valentine. He's a new dude. I've seen him out pretty regularly. He has actual jokes he's trying out. You could tell, definitely has some stuff he needs to work on, but he's out there working. The other night I just told him, like, hey man, I see some of your stuff, like some of your material, just keep coming out. Because when I got that, when I started, that little bit of props, bro, gave me the most fire. Like, me and Josh are close as shit. That's my brother right there. That's a Cocopelli sniper, dude. You know what I mean? But he was the first person.
Shout out to Johnny. Inkaholic. He just said, what's the show about? We're just having a podcast, hanging out with Zach Abeyta. Check the description and let us know what you think. Give us a shout out if you're at hanging out.
Albuquerque comedy. What's up, dog?
What's up?
But Josh was the first person at a mic to ever like tell me I was funny. Like, my third open mic ever.
That's so crazy how you tell these stories, and it happens in people. Like, unfortunately, like, I love this guy. He's been super nice to me, and he's helped me out so much. But the first person to do that for me was Corey.
Okay.
Corey Herrera.
Yeah.
And he's like, I went out my first night, and he saw me, and nobody else, even the way Tito introduced me the first night. My first night, he was just like, this is a new face on the scene. Give it up for Angel Lopez. Yeah. And then, like, going consecutively, and I went for like the 4th night, and I saw a new person come up, and I was like, the energy you gave this person compared to what to me, this is pretty kind of.
It could really affect you and how you like perceive someone when you first start.
I'll be pissed if it's me.
I'm pissed already.
It's not me.
Oh, I'm pissed. It's me, dude. And my watch didn't pick it up.
Son of a bitch.
Edit it out.
That's going.
It's Josh Orney. I'm pissed. It's Royal. I'm pissed. Let's actually answer.
What is up? Put Roy on the line.
Yo, what's up, brother? We're podcasting on live air right now.
MuseMe TV, baby.
Hey! Quick question.
What's up?
Do you have any flour?
Live on the podcast.
What is this podcast about? They just asked. Hey, dude, we're just trying to grind. Is what's going on.
We're trying to get connections, networking.
Let me call you.
Who you with?
I'm live on air on podcast right now with On Hell, and you're on speakerphone.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, all right then.
Let me call you back.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here. Right on MuseMe TV, man. That's the shit. See, that's why I need to have more fucking comics and shit on the fucking podcast.
Oh gosh,
that was genius.
Woo. But yeah, what we were talking about, yeah, dude.
Left turn, dude.
First impressions people give you really impact you. So, saying those little things, you never know who it could really help them out. And if you're rude to someone too, you never know how somebody could take that when they first start out.
So I was pretty happy when Corey said that. He's like, "Hey man, I know it wasn't seem so good, but you got to keep coming out. It's just you got to keep working." I was like, "Thanks, man. Pretty cool."
And then you're like, "You too."
How does that even work? Why do people have beef like that? See, coming into this new as well too. It's like fucking high school, dude. Like everyone's all like clicky and shit. Everyone's like, "Oh,
2000.
I have my own fucking production and I do my own shit." I'm like, what is going on?
2019 was hashtag MeToo 2020 in Albuquerque's hashtag YouTube, rather. YouTube, dog.
God.
YouTube, rather.
How does that even happen, though?
I don't know, dude. I stay away from all that stuff. I don't post none of those Facebook fucking gripes and all. I stay away from. I do my own thing, bro.
That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm trying to get established in this scene, but still be neutral with everybody.
This is the thing that a lot of people understand, bros. A lot of these people that get salty and that are like quick to burn bridges and not okay. Like I said, you're doing this the right way. There's people that are not going about it the right way. And I hope you see what I mean by when I say the right way about being cool to the existing comedians when you go out, being consecutive, trying to get booked, but trying not to overstep and be like, I'm a
headliner.
When you know that you don't even have a good 5, a banging 5, and you're trying to, and bro, real headliner sets a 45. You got 45? You gonna do 45 after me?
That's crazy to think about too.
Yeah. You gonna do 45 after Fournier goes up and shows his native nips? Because I've seen him do it.
And he's not even killing if he did that.
And he has a chain connecting both piercings?
Tatanka in the house.
No, I'm just saying, so just the right way. And another thing is just burning bridges. A lot of people don't realize that this level, even where I'm at 3 years in, which isn't shit, dog. It ain't shit. 90% of our work comes from our friends and our community. 90% of your work and your opportunities is going to come from the other comedians you meet right now where you're at. And think about that. Any opportunity you've gotten booked on
is because I knew somebody,
or not, like, or someone you've met through the short amount of time you've done comedy.
That's true.
Okay, and so every time you burn one of those bridges, every time you leave someone hanging, or tell someone you're going to do something and don't, tell someone you're going to put them on and don't, gas someone up and then just kind of leave them in the dust, that's going to burn a bridge for you. And then those people are going to have opportunities come up for them, and you're not going to be their go-to person that they recommend. I'll be straight up right now. Everybody knows my go-to people right now that I'll take anywhere with me are Josh and Maverick. I'll take those dudes anywhere with me.
Okay, this is a question that was asked later on.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
No, you're straight.
Throw it up to send. Who are your favorite 3 comedians in Albuquerque?
In Albuquerque, well, I just said 2 of them, and not only because they're my buddies, because they're young, they're grinding hard as shit, they're taking chances. Maverick's 23. He already moved to another scene. You know, there's people in here that have been doing comedy for 23 years, never moved to another scene.
See, that's what pisses me off too. I feel like I'm too fucking late to all of this. It's like I've established myself too much here that I'm just like, fuck, what if I just wanted to book and leave and go straight to Los Angeles? Well, I can't because my fucking job makes me fucking stay here, and I have like this financial stability that I have to still live for.
I know.
How does that?
I know. Well, you know, there's a difference between being like responsible and logical, and this is where I think artists, we'll go back to the question, but let me just say this real quick. This is where I think artists of any genre become salty and bitter, and these gripes and these things start to happen in the community where you don't see artists supporting artists, especially in Albuquerque. I think because we have a scene where there is no bigger opportunities for us, where you could get some talent, you could get some leeway, something going. But if you don't take the leap of faith, if you don't go to the bigger opportunity, do the thing like you said, quit your job, move out of your house. If you don't do those bigger steps, those people turn bitter over time. And what happens is the people that is happening for them and the people that do take those chances, even if they're happy for them, even if those are those homies, they become so insecure and bitter within themselves that they can't show love anymore. And they just come across as a salty, upset person. And that's what you see. That's that vibe you see in Albuquerque a lot, especially with these older cats.
Okay, so that's kind of what I guess my question is then, is like, it just builds up to that kind of sense. It's like, if you really want to try and do something, you will really try and do it. Because second guessing yourself, or like kind of putting yourself in like this little hole, or like, oh, I don't know, maybe give me 3 weeks or something like that. Because unfortunately, that's how a lot of people get stuck doing what they do, right? I mean,
and what you're gonna see is, bro, like, I'm not out here to be liked by everyone. That's not my goal. If you like me, cool. If not, it's whatever. Like, I'm just out here to do my thing and to grind as hard as possible and be funny and get work. And what I think happens is, like I said, those people that turn bitter, don't worry about them, because there's also going to be a lot of people that are going to come out of nowhere that are going to show love. And that's going to be the craziest thing. When you wake up and you have messages like, oh, I saw you perform last night and I was having like a really shitty week, and that made me feel so much better. Like, thank you for that. And you don't even know who this person, like, those little things start to me, even with another comedian, like, hey, I really respect you and look up to you. If you could ever offer a bit of advice, I'd appreciate it. Like, that stuff means the world to me. That's why I do it. And when you start to get props like from those older, like I said, those people are going to be bitter, whatever. But then you're going to see the people that are like those older veteran cats, and they're like showing you love, and they're like, yo, I really see you working. I really see you doing something. You got something going on. Keep doing it. That's when it means the world.
That's when it gets, yeah. Because I mean, I've heard it from Royal a few times. He's like, man, if you keep doing what you're doing, man, you can do something. I'm just like, that's really encouraging. Makes me want to go out there more. Even those nights where I fuck up and shit, there's no laughs, nobody there. It's like, it's okay, because that's the craft of trying to get good at something. Like, even if you play guitar over and over and over again, and fucking nobody listens.
I think it's like, have long-term goals, have measurable goals. Like every night when I go out to the open mic, I'm working on something. It may not look like it. It may look like I just like am totally joking around or having a good time or just like whatever people perceive it as. I'm working on a specific thing every night. And even if people are, he didn't even tell a joke. He just was messing around the whole time. Okay, I was in the moment for 5 minutes. I was a QB in the pocket for 5 minutes, and I didn't have to leave. You know what I mean? Like, and that was a big thing I started working on last year. Once I started really realizing that I could polish up some material, that writing was, I do have an English degree in creative writing, and that really gave me a backbone to be able to craft jokes and write. And that's something a lot of people in the scene don't know unless they know me a little bit more personally.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so once I realized that writing was something that I enjoyed and can craft, I was like, not necessarily want to work on crowd work, but I listened to a podcast by Run Funches, and he was talking about working on being in the moment. He was saying that, he's like, right now I'm working on being in the moment as long as possible. When I get on stage, I try to be in the moment as long as possible before having to dive into material. And that hit me so hard. So when I go up there, I read the room, I scan the audience for anything that just pops out to me right away.
Yeah.
That's like quick. I could talk about, if I could make a quick reference or analogy. I try to get the room on my side right away. So I'll go up there and I'm not like, oh, fuck this guy's t-shirt. Yeah. You're going to lose the audience. Even if you want to roast people, that's more, get them on your side first.
Okay.
One of my favorite little tricks is I'll give someone a compliment and then follow immediately that up with the roast. That's the misdirection.
Okay.
Give it up for this person, blah, 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 blah. They have the nice blah, blah, blah. And then the roast. Okay. You know what I mean? But you already have him on your side. You got that guy on your side.
At least, yeah.
So once you roast him, he's not as offended. Okay. You know what I mean? Little chips and then if you feel like you're starting to lose them, you got your material. Just start doing your shit. Start doing your act.
At least do something that you know can gain them back,
exactly.
Right?
And there's some days that it's not going to work at all. And then there's some times where you're in the moment and it's working so well that 5 minutes go by. I remember last year that it was going so well that after a couple minutes I would joke around on stage and I'm like, shit, I haven't even told a joke yet. And I would say it in a funny way. But then the audience would realize, he hasn't even told the joke. He's just been talking to us. So being in the moment is something that I work on a lot, which may look like I'm just messing around, but working on something. New jokes weekly, you know what I mean? And you find stuff that you really enjoy talking about, and you're like, okay, that was just, a premise. Maybe that's not really going anywhere. And then sometimes you'll pick stuff up a year later, that downtown bit I talk about, with it being in the sewers, all that bit. I wrote year one, but didn't bring it back till late last year once I moved downtown. Okay. Because I was like, it makes a little bit more sense to talk about it now. And and it got way better now. I really enjoy telling that joke.
And do you bring different elements to it now, or was it told kind of the same way?
Yeah, I do bring different. I tied in another loose joke about the first place I lived, which was just outside of downtown. So I met shows together. So I had a minute joke that I took and put together with this 3.5 minute joke, extended it a little bit longer. Before you know it, you got a 5 minute bit. Okay. You know what I mean? And I have this Harry Potter joke that I really like to tell too. It's on my YouTube. So if you check out my YouTube channel, there's a skit about no Hispanic wizards and Harry Potter. I told that joke for almost a year before I found the punchline. You know what I mean? Yeah. Consecutively. And I was it always felt like it was going somewhere. It always felt like it was going somewhere, but it never felt like it ended
the right way,
as high as just some of the laughs were in the middle. Okay. And then I was at I did this military base show last year, and I kind of got heckled in the joke a little bit. And when I was doing it, and this guy said something about, when I said something about, no, I don't want to give away the punchline. You could check out the joke if you want, but what the interaction what the guy gave me ended up making for the punchline that now I use and everywhere, close out the joke
all
with.
The time.
Yeah, and now I'm now that's the punchline. that's the end of the joke.
And that's kind of cool to think about too, because I don't know if you've done what was it, Sarah Kennedy's and Kevin Baca's show Bit Bandits.
I haven't yet.
You haven't?
But I like Sarah Kennedy a lot. I definitely going to try to do that when I can.
That was pretty cool. That they actually invited me to do that show one time, and it's that whole thing where you just write down your bits and you trade it with somebody else, and it kind of like there are some people that did that show already that kind of have that same thing too. Is like all I had was an idea of someone else's joke, and now I run with that joke because I made it my own, and it's like your own crafted thing where it's just like it came from somebody else.
Yeah.
Kind of like your whole thing where the guy in the audience. I mean, that's cool to think about too, is like you just working the room or just doing regular material kind of helps to find out, oh shit, this works. Like that, it's sick. Like that coming out in comedy has been fun figuring out. And again, I'm barely starting, like I'm barely fucking 5 months in, like barely touching my toes, barely thinking about what else can be out there and stuff. Like I can't even imagine what concepts of like incorporating music inside of like comedy and stuff like that I really want to do, or even just being able to say certain jokes that right now I feel like these are funny, super funny, and then I try them and nothing happens. And why? Because I don't try them enough, or I don't know exactly where the actual funny part should be and shit like that.
Yeah. There's so many aspects of like there's so many things that can be funny, but it's like how you make them funny. It's the same thing in breaking, dog. It's so similar. I pull so many similarities from b-boying and comedy. Like when I would teach people a step, even when I first started, just simple top rock steps, just the simple dancing, you're doing the step. You're doing it on beat. You're doing it right. But why don't you look smooth like your homie that's been dancing for 15 years? Like, how come his looks so much more smoother and cleaner and natural? We're doing the same. We're on the same beat. And it's like same thing. Like, you're like, well, my jokes, my premise is just as funny. Like, why is that guy, how come the cadence, how come his flow is so much funnier? How come the way he, like, says the words and just, expresses, enunciates the words. Yeah. The timing, the pacing, all that stuff is what makes it funny. You know what I'm saying? So, there's I'll send you a little bit of tricks, but there are a little bit of tricks to punch up your jokes. Some of the most basic ones, I'll send you a little bit of rule of three. I'm sure you already know.
And I have a joke like that too, but I just don't, I don't get how it works so well, because there are certain things where I'm just like, okay, it should be a build up to something funny at the end. Yeah. But is it just like, is the build up not so funny that I'm not saying things that make it funny? Or because
Jerry Seinfeld once said too, it's the distance that you place the punchline from the premise that's gonna like gauge how funny it is, and like how funny that joke and how the laughter perceives it. So some jokes that punchline needs to be close to the premise. Some jokes you need to really work the premise, and then the punchline such a misdirection from that premise that there's so many ways to gauge. So finding the distance from your punchline to your premise to where the funny is in there. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't really longhand jokes. That's not my style. Like, I don't really take my joke and just write out every word in premise. To me, it gets a little bit too wordy. It gets a little bit to something I have to memorize. Then I'll stumble over it when I'm saying it and stuff like that. So the way I craft a joke for you or anybody out there who wants to know how I do my thing is I kind of bulletin style. So I'll come up with my premise. Say a joke I have is like, I have a joke where I talk about, like, I take 17 dabs. That's the first thing I have to say. Yeah. Boom. So I write the joke, 17 dabs. And then I write all the tags for it. And I write, okay, well, that's funny because it's like high tolerance. It wouldn't be funny if I had a high tolerance in other drugs. Act that out. And then I'll have like 5 or 6 bullet points, and those are all the tags of where I want like something to be funny in there. And then the last one will just be like the punchline. Okay. You know what I mean? And that leaves me a lot more room to play with the joke and try to craft it.
Find different keys or stuff that you're looking for in there. Mm-hmm.
One thing I definitely need to get better that I see like Josh does a lot more and Lloyd does is record my sets. Like I need to.
That's the only reason why I've been getting better. Yeah. To be honest, is because I've from I can't remember the exact date, but I've recorded every set every day, and that's like I can tell. I'm just like, oh, this joke hits. I'm gonna keep this one. This one's funny. okay, I can punch it up a little bit more, or there's something.
I have
there.
a little bit of like, I don't ever want to say I'm like a little superpower or something silly, but like when I was in the gym, I have like a weak memory to where I can remember exactly what I worked out, exactly what sets I did and stuff for like a week. Once that week passes into the next week, I can't remember what I did like 2 weeks before that. But in comedy, I'm pretty similar to like last night at Raw and Sauce, I just fucked around with all new stuff. And tonight, I liked that. And then I took all the stuff I liked from last night, and I tried it tonight, and it was like tighter.
Okay.
And I was like, that's something. And then like I have like a bit that it's still loose, but it was tighter. It was still getting laughs. Like it was a little bit more planned out. And I'm like, okay, well, that's something I'm definitely going to mess with now more. And I found like basically 2 new bits that could separate them, could tell them together, could still, still playing with it. Okay. But still recording it is key. There's no, like I said, there's no hiding from the mirror. There's no hiding from the camera.
Yeah, because that's
exactly what you said. You know exactly what happened.
Yeah, and you can get the anticipation of reactions too. Because like the more I've recorded it too, I've noticed that like, oh man, I'm super fast on this joke. There's no way no one's even listening to it at that point if I'm like super going through it super fast, or where like you hear other people too. Like it's kind of stupid, but like you can tell when that joke hits in certain areas. Like you're just like, I didn't hear anybody laugh. Why didn't in my head where I was standing there was laughter, but then again Kat was right there, so fucking you go all crazy. But then you hear the tape and you're just like, oh dude, yeah, that joke didn't hit at all. I don't know why in my head I thought that joke was bombing, but in that sense recording it fucking really does play a role.
Much. So real quick, like a couple bits of things that I would throw out there that I've learned to help you in crafting jokes and bits is the rule of 3. You can look at it a couple different ways: funny, funnier, funniest. All right, so like descriptions, or it could be like first example, second example is like more far out, third example is even more far out. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of a joke where I...
See, okay, so I'll just tell you the joke that I'm working on, and maybe we can work on it a little bit, is where I have this thing where at my age I have nothing going for me, so I Google dumb shit, and then the rule of 3 comes where I Google the 3 dumb shit, is me trying to find a superpower, me trying to sell my semen, and me trying to find a job. So like, and I feel like it's... the superpower is kind of funny, blah, blah, blah. And then, he has no money. He's selling for semen. But then the job, because why would that be the last one?
So if I would just to play with those 3, the way I would do it is the most logical first, right? How to find a job. Okay. That's the most like normal one. Then how to sell your semen. It's a little bit more far out. But that's like a little bit more drastic. Like you're looking for a job, you really need money.
Okay.
And then the third one's like... totally far out. That's like the absurd one, like how to be a superhero.
That's crazy to think about. Like, that I had it backwards.
Exactly. And then it'd be something like my attention span's so short that like I'm looking for a job sometimes, and then I end up doing like shit that doesn't even matter. So
like, I'll end up googling dumb shit. Yeah.
And then like I have a job where I talk about, or a joke where I talk about like getting my degree, my first job. And then what do I do now? And those are like my rule, like the 3s, and I kind of like use those 3 as I go throughout the joke. Even the it joke, like my 3 references, like I do the Jason one, Michael Myers, and then it, and it's where the punchline is.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Another one's misdirection, like take them one way, pull them another way.
Because I've actually, I don't know why a lot of people give him flack as well, but I've actually kind of learned a lot from Troy as well.
Yeah, Troy. I mean, Troy takes his comedy very seriously. So
because I've been to like a few of his writing sessions, and we've worked on some stuff, and it's actually really beneficial. Yeah. But seeing the stuff that you're saying is so crazy.
Because me and Troy have talked about writing a lot.
He has a board that has all of these, and I'm just like, holy shit! Because I look at that all the time, and I'm just like, I'm trying to work off jokes of what stuff like that is too. But it's so weird how you can find just like, I'm writing a joke, but all of a sudden it has misdirection or surprise or something that kind of throws you off and shit like that.
One other bit of advice that I could give you that a lot of people don't talk about is not necessarily just about joke writing. It's just about performing, right? Theo Von kind of hit me in the soul one time when he said this on a podcast. He's like, man, I'll be out here at the Comedy Store sometimes. He's like, 70% of the people out here, they aren't even comedians. They're out here just telling jokes. They're not even performing. They're just joke writers. And I was like, think about it. Like, you're at a open mic. How many people out there aren't even performing? They're just telling, like, they're just joke writers. They're just like telling jokes.
Stuff that
and it
they-
is whatever you think stand up, but I want to like perform. I want to perform an act.
No, I see what you're saying
You
because
know
I
what I'm
try
saying?
to. I do the same thing, like Moses in the sea, and
Exactly.
I'm doing shit like that where I'm just trying to get more interaction from the crowd too, and that's
Exactly.
why I like where you brought that up too, where you throw the high kicks and shit like that because
And
it's
like there's so many jokes where I have act outs in them. I really like to do act outs. I like to be silly. I like to act out the jokes. I'll give a couple of examples right now. Like I talk about the joke I just said that's on my YouTube, the no Hispanic wizards in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Right, that's the premise. And then I do a bunch of act outs of that idea. If I just said like, yeah, it's like kind of crazy that there's no Hispanic wizards in Harry Potter, huh? Like that's not it's like not too funny.
you don't get into it,
Yeah, even like I talk about growing up in the North Valley. I talk about a joke about growing up around like Chicano dudes and Vato Cholo dudes, and I'd be like, yeah, Vato dudes are like intimidating, and then I like describe it and act it out. But if I just said that, it was like the funny in that.
Yeah. You can't see it.
Exactly. How could you get someone to relate to that? Like how, I'm trying to even just little act outs. Like I have this joke I talk about losing my hair that I call bald Jesus. If you see it, you'll know why. But I do just this little quick act out where I point my foot in, but I really point it in this like very specific way. And I've had a lot of people come up to me after that show and like, are you a dancer? But like I saw how you pointed your toe, and just sometimes the littlest things can make the biggest difference.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't have to bounce off the walls to get the reaction, but the plan, like, fully becoming a character. Like when I do an act out, when I'm telling my premise, blah blah blah, I'm here, right? When I'm the Vato, I fully become that dude. You know what I'm saying? I don't hold back at anything. I'm
The whole act,
exactly.
Even if you were doing like
I'm
the Cholo or something,
dude.
you want to go with it.
Exactly. So just commit to your bit. That's like another quick one. But one of my biggest things is be likable. Like when you watch comedy, your favorite comedians like are likable people. There's someone that you could watch for an hour easily. Think about that. Like, am I somebody? Like if I saw myself, I'd want to look at myself and listen to myself for an hour.
It's like self-evaluation.
It's hard, but it's true. And that likable thing, that's what I say. Like when I first get into a room, I'll try to win over the room in 15 seconds and get everyone on my side. Because you're taking them on a roller coaster, right? You're the tour guide every time you do a set.
Yeah, everyone starts off looking at you.
And you can't just drop those people. You can't just drop those people right off the cliff, off the bat, and expect them to be with you. You got to show them, oh, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's lightly climb this hill. Boom. And then when you take them with you, they're ready and they're with you. But if you just start going and roasting people and offending, and there's only 8 people at the open mic, I've seen so many times people trying to roast someone and you lose the audience, and it's so hard to get them back. Someone just goes up, yeah, look at this asshole shirt right here. Boom.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you go, what's up, guys? You looking good? Dang, bro, you got that shirt. Shit, are you on vacation? You going to Benihana? Like, there's silly stuff to get him on your side.
But still not totally, like, it's not throwing them down on the bus.
Like there's this dude that was like this brother wearing these crazy little glasses the other day. And I was like, shit, we got Blade in the house. And I was like, clouding for looking like Blade, but I wasn't like, you're whack as fuck, bro. I was like, I love Blade, bro. I saw Blade too. I was scared as shit, but I watched it. Like, just silly little shit like that.
That makes so much sense because I did that on my set on Monday where I started off right away kind of roasting, and the first guy that I hit felt kind of like, oh man, what an asshole. Like, why would he say that about me? Because I was like, oh, this guy's a native with attitude, the NWA. And it felt weird. But then the next guy was a little bit more lenient because I just said like, hey, you look like a character from Scarface. That's the shit right there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it was like it's like you don't know. It's like, is he roasting me or is he complimenting me?
Yeah, see, that's
my favorite shit. That's my favorite shit.
But now, like, you explaining it and stuff, oh my god, fucking, it's one of those stupid, like, oh my god, did aliens fucking build the pyramids? Like, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's fucking.
There's like a couple go-tos I have. Like, if I see an older, I hate giving away all my tricks, but but I love to top shot. Like, if I see a group of older people in a real young room, I'll single them out right away, and I'll be like, do some jokes about them, but like gas them up a little bit. So I'll be like, oh, give it up for my teacher, Miss Torres, for coming out. Like, I'll just do something. I'll be like, I'll get you my homework, I promise.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just like silly stuff to get everyone kind of going. And then I love like stuff like, and that's why I need to film my sets more, because you can't recreate some of those moments.
That's true. Very true. That's sick.
Yeah.
That's
So-
some good learning, man. Fucking, that was intense. We have a bunch of questions
Yeah,
here
let's
from
do it.
blockchain engineer. He was asking about first he did ask who are you voting for president, if you're voting for anybody.
Oh, yeah, I mean, not to upset anyone or anything, but I'm not the most political guy. I will vote, but I'm not even like on board with anything. I don't even have TV at the house.
It's all internet, right?
Yeah, dude. Like,
I don't have TV either. Like, either it's like, Huluing it, Netflixing it, YouTube all the time.
I think a quick way to, the last election really turned me off. I mean, I'm not too political. Let's put it this way. Whatever point I stand on, my life hasn't gotten any like worse or better because of the political change or the climate of what's going on in our political status right now. And once it does, maybe I'll look into it a little bit more, and maybe that's naive to say, but where I'm at, like my head's so focused on what I'm trying to achieve that I'm trying not to get worked up on circumstances that I really can't. I've always voted every time I could, but I don't go to. I never really even talk about it on stage.
Yeah, you're not trying to gain a side right away.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. What
Cool.
else? What does Zach think about the impeachment? Ask Zach how I can make political based jokes.
Is this all Nico?
Pretty much.
Political based jokes. You have to really win over the audience.
So, for example,
Yeah,
something about Trump.
yeah, you have to really have the audience on your side.
And do you have to know where you're at too? Because
You have to know where you're at for sure.
I guess you can say it's acceptable here. It's more of
Yeah.
like kind of a liberal state, kind of have
for sure.
There's once in a while you see those conservatives there, but it's you can kind of
Like
get
one of the
away.
lowest hanging fruit lines of the last few years, of course, is 2 words: "fuck Trump."
Yeah.
Right. Depending on where you are, you could either get the crowd on your side, you
Or-
could split a crowd, or you could lose a crowd.
That's so
off
crazy.
of 2 words, and I've seen it in several in all the different rooms. I've seen people say just "fuck Trump," right, and the people applause break, screaming. I've seen people say that, and it like kind of fall flat, and
Yeah.
and then I've seen people say that, and like people kind of like, we don't even give a shit, dude.
Yeah, why did you say that? Like,
I mean, I haven't really been to too many like Bible belty places where someone like really throwing that out there trying to get booed. But yeah, I've even at my show, I've seen someone try to do a joke where they immediately, the premise was about being more of a Trump person, and the audience just like lost him right off the bat.
that was
and I'm
it.
like, and that's reading a room and knowing your audience when it comes down to. If you try to do political based stuff, still be original. Don't try to be like every other person that wants to be
Don't be a
the
news
Daily
host.
Show.
Yeah.
Because even I really like late night shows. Like when I did have TV, like Conan is one of my favorite shows. I love Conan.
You still can check out bits and
Yeah,
stuff too. Like just
exactly.
be like, oh shit, they're talking about this. Let's
but-
check it out.
Sometimes, not necessarily doing political based stuff, but just like current eventy stuff, you could really sound so late night hosty. And
Did you hear what's going on in Rwanda? Hey guys, and shit. Go with the joke. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You kind of find headlines.
more like she Wando, right? Yeah, dude. So exactly.
They go crazy.
Right,
man.
Roots?
They
Right, Roots?
They love us all, dude. They love us all. That's what we do here on the podcast. There was just another question. What's Zach advice for the first time open mic?
Your very first time.
For a first time open mic. I don't know if he's talking about doing
you're
open
very-
mic
like if
or hosting it, because that's what we're trying to do as well too. Is like kind of open up an open mic as well.
All right, well, I guess I'll give a short answer to each. If you want to do your open mic for the first time, do try to write like a little bit of material. I wouldn't try to have like I said, long form jokes that you've never tried before, but try to have some stuff you want to talk about. Be friendly to the hosts and the fellow comedians there. Introduce yourself to a couple people. Let them know you're new, because a lot of times if you show up and you just look like, sometimes being shy and nervous could easily be misinterpreted as being rude and like standoffish, especially if you're brand new. Because then there is times once in a while where there's like a passing through comic from out of state, and they kind of just keep to themselves, and then you find out that they're like an out of state comic, and you're like, oh, the dude just thinks they're the shit, or they don't want to like network or say what's up, and There's sometimes where people are just brand new and they're like shy and don't really.
Yeah, wouldn't even know what to say.
So
or
yeah, for your first time, have some stuff you want to talk about. Be friendly to the host. Ask for some advice, and pay attention. Like for first, like I said, I don't really watch the mics now. It kind of gives me anxiety before I go up. If I'm just in there the whole time, I get less and less off of what I want to talk about, and more about what everybody else is talking about. And like, they talked. Oh, that person didn't like that, so I shouldn't talk about that.
Oh,
And, just I get too much in my head versus like what I just want to say organically. And if you want to start an open mic, promotion, work with the venue, make sure they're on your side, make sure that you could get some people there. Don't have it be like if your sign-up's an hour, have your sign-up be an hour. If you say sign-ups at 7:30, show at 8:30, don't start that bitch at 9:15. Because you know what I mean, the person that goes up last on that night it's a bummer, dude. Especially if you have to. There's some people that don't have jobs and stuff in the scene, but bro, I gotta be at work at 7:30. You know what I mean? So I ain't trying to be at an open mic every night till midnight.
There's people probably like, oh, can you put me on first or get it over with faster?
Yeah, be on point with your timing, promote the shit out of it, use your local resources, your local surrounding businesses. Like that's one thing I use with my day job with the CBD company, right? I'm all over with all the CBD companies, the cannabis industry, and a lot of times, like when I'm rolling around, I'm dropping off my comedy flyers at these same establishments. I'm networking. I'm letting these people know that I do comedy, and yeah, just promotion. I do, open mic's a little bit different than my monthly showcase, but I do like 1,500 flyers a month. For a weekly showcase, you want to use your weekly papers, the Daily Lobo at the UNM. Coffee shops now have this like rotating electronic billboard. All you have to do is upload your flyer. There's a lot of easy ways for free promotion. Nice. And then don't be afraid to throw $25 on an Instagram post here and there, $30 on a Facebook promotion here and there. Sponsors, dude, are huge. Once you start building your relationships with your local businesses, approach them for sponsorships. Start small at first. Don't be like, I want $3,000.
You gotta fund my whole tour.
Find something that's reasonable for the business that you're approaching and for the show that you're trying to put on. And pay your I mean, if you're an open mic, that's a little bit different. If you're doing a showcase, pay your comics. If you're doing an open mic, be reasonable with your lineups. Kind of pay attention where you put people. You don't want to put the same person at the end every week. You also don't want to like make it seem like you're cherry picking and say the same person second every week. You want to mix it up, but also be aware of what people have going on in their life. If there's someone there's someone like us that come out consecutively. We're there every week if we can be, right?
Yeah. And
that person has to work super early, and they're cool about like, hey man, just letting you know I have to be up. I have to be at work really early in the morning. If I could get up a little bit early, I'd really appreciate it. If they're cool like that, show them some love. But if someone's a dick, then just do your thing. But when someone's cool, you got to give love to get love. So you know what I mean? Just do your best as you can to keep everything running on tight. Try not to have it be the longest show.
Get shit going.
Yeah, and promote. That's the best thing for open mics. I think that's the hardest thing that shuts them down. People got to remember, you get an open mic at a brewery. I think in Albuquerque right now there's 70 plus breweries. So what's your night gonna be different to bring all the other ones? And you got to think about this too, bro. If you aren't a comedian, dog, who wants to go watch open mic comedy? You know what I'm saying? Like, no offense to what we do or what everybody does, but that's just like,
yeah, that's a type of stuff to go look for. It's not. That's why I kind of like Boise's and what the Red Door kind of promotes is because it's walk-in traffic. Yeah, it's not just like, oh, it's such a promotion that it fills up. It fills up because people are kind of like oblivious of what's going on. They're just like, oh, there's something going on. Cool. Well, we might as well stay for the whole show. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel like that's how those work right now, because we don't have that established comedy scene where it's just like, oh, well, every fucking Friday we know that this show is going to be packed and everyone's going to this spot.
Yeah.
And that
the one thing I don't think we have enough is like somewhere that draws the young, like the college crowd. Like Durango does a great job with their open mics drawing a college crowd. Like those college kids come out to see open mic comedy and to see their friends go up, all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, why do not like There's no think about it. Do you ever see like young UNM kids? Well, first of all, most of them are at breweries, so it's not like 21 and over or bars.
Yeah.
But even like that's what I was seeing. Like, where's an establishment where we could get like a younger like college crowd out?
That makes sense because I do like a lot of people that I talk with and stuff. They're like, "Oh, hey, can you come check out my show?" And they're like, "Oh, well, probably not. It's at a bar, right?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. You're 20. Can fucking grow up already."
Yeah. Like, luckily, like some of the breweries are pretty lenient. It's like, yeah, as long as you're not ordering a beer and usually like you're with someone of age, yeah, you're good.
Okay. So there are ways that you can
like my
still
canteen show. Like, yeah, there's my brother comes and he's a teenage. Like, we have, there's kids that go with their families and stuff. But as long as you're not trying to like order beer and be like dumb about it.
Here you go, Hito.
Sure.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Any other questions on the line?
Besides, like, what's missing in the Albuquerque comedy scene? That's what the blockchain engineer asked one more time.
Of course, Cars Comedy Club is missing. That's what really holds us back is a lack of a solid venue
to come do it all the time
where
and shit.
Bigger acts of all, like, not only feature acts but headlining acts are coming through, giving us the opportunity to perform with, giving us a place where people are going out for comedy. Like you said, like, people are going out to these breweries, but they're just going out for a beer with their friends.
Yeah.
It's like ambush comedy, we kind of call it, right? Like ambushing with them in the open mic.
Exactly.
But if at a comedy club, people are going out to laugh.
To the club.
Or to expect to see comedy. You look at, like I said, Denver has 5+ comedy clubs. Phoenix, Tempe area, same thing, 4 or 5 comedy clubs. Even Colorado Springs is a comedy club. Oklahoma City, where Maverick lives, has like good comedy clubs. We don't have a comedy club.
Isn't there one, but it's not really functioning, or it's like owned by somebody that doesn't open it or something? What's the vault or something?
Okay,
like
so
that?
no, so that's where Boots and Bourbon is.
Okay.
Right now, this guy last year was supposed to supposedly open up a legit comedy club, but it was like sketch off the bat. The first grand opening was canceled. First big red flag. And then the second opening was really poorly done. It caused a really big divide in the scene at the time because it was like invite only. So there were some people that were reached out to come perform sets. But at the end of the night, it ended up being kind of more like an open mic. Like, almost anybody that rolled up, like, you want to sign up? And then, but the people that kind of didn't roll up or weren't invited seemed to have gotten really, for however they want to perceive it and however they want to spin it and get upset about it, bitter about not being asked to perform or being booked. And then, of course, one of the biggest aspects of it is the guy ended up being a really big scumball all around and was like sexually harassing a lot of the female comedians of the scene, and in general just being known to being like a really scummy dude towards ladies. And it wasn't even that got the club shut down. Ultimately, the dude was so ill prepared, he didn't even have the money for the first month's rent.
Oh shit.
So the place opened and less than 2.5 weeks was closed because he couldn't even afford the first rent.
So it just was like a kind of like a dug hole already.
It was just horrible.
There was nothing
off the bat.
that they could have done. Like,
it was just horrible off the bat.
Is it still something that can be salvaged or something that can grow from it?
It's a completely. The only thing I could go from it is like somebody that wants to open up a comedy club to take that as like what not to do. You know what I mean? I don't think that would have been a good venue for comedy in the first place. 4th and Central, that's like the epicenter of like
the homeless epidemic.
Like that,
Yeah.
the rowdiest of the downtown scenes right there. Like, you're gonna get people walking the way, bro. The front door was set up literally off stage right to the stage. So you're on stage and the door is like opening to the right of you with people coming in. And every few seconds, the focus is being pulled from you to the door because people are literally coming in the front door right next to you while you're performing.
Oh shit! Okay.
And I'm like, this is the worst setup ever for comedy. Imagine if that place would have like continued to stay open. It's like Friday, Saturday night. There's drunk ass people stumbling in, and there's like legit headliners there, and be like, dude, this club set up horribly.
I can see
like
that.
most legit clubs, the bar, it's like the bar and an entrance area is a separate, and then there's like a hallway to a room where the comedy room is.
Okay.
That way it's a little bit more separated from the entrances, the restrooms, the bar, etc.
Yeah, there's like not a lot of like you have to get up and leave and do stuff, not where you can just like, oh, I'm walking here, and still get to watch comedy while I'm doing it.
Exactly. Because that's the biggest thing is that in a room, you want the focus to be on the stage, on the performer. You don't want it to be, there's a door right here where a bunch of people are coming in. The bathroom's right there. People are coming in and out. The bar's right there. It's loud as shit. People are getting up and placing orders. You want the least amount of distraction.
I get what you're saying.
You know? And that might even help out for somebody asking about open mic setups.
Bam.
Stuff like that,
too. Questions being answered here on the podcast.
Let's do it.
Sergeant 95 went a little gay and was like, one time in my frat, we sat on a real horse dildo.
I think that's every frat.
Sergeant 95.
Frats, dude. I mean,
thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any questions,
there.
hit us up. Dude, we've been here for like an hour and a half already.
Oh shit, we've been rocking. Cool.
Yes.
Well,
So we got one. I got one more segment.
yeah, for sure. I mean, let's all come back, bro. We'll do this again.
Dude, we didn't even talk about fucking aliens.
We didn't talk about any. I know. We'll do this several more. I'll be back for sure.
Let's
we'll do this several
man.
more times.
Do mad dabs, and we'll just fucking hang out. But before I leave, and we get this going, I got a segment that's called Rapid Fire.
Okay, let's do it.
So what Rapid Fire is it's just a list of 25 words.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you each word, and you say the first thing that pops into your head.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a phrase. It doesn't have to be one word. Like I don't have to say. I'm going to be like bicycle, and you don't have to say
wheel.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can say like in a forest or like whatever comes to your mind.
Let's do it.
Has something good to it. Okay.
All right, we're gonna go.
Rapid fire. 25 words. All right.
25 words in 25 seconds.
I wish it was in 25 seconds.
I made that last part.
Damn, he's trying to put some more incentive inside of this. This is called rapid fire.
Let's do it. Rap fire. What's up?
You know it. All right, 25 words. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Pizza.
Thin crust.
Island.
Sopping. Toppings. Ovens.
Dang.
Mitts.
He's going in a mad description.
Hold on. Really big pizza paddles. Getting fired when I was 18.
Okay.
Sad.
That's a little too descriptive.
Okay. All right.
Because we're going through them
that was
a little
I was kind of like spoken word poetry. Okay. All right.
But you get what I'm saying,
Let's
though, right?
do it, dude.
Because it's supposed to be like a kind of a
that one I was
psychological test.
I was really just
I feel feeling
that one deep.
You're
Okay.
feeling it. Here we go. You ready? Island.
Galapagos.
Music.
Underground hip hop.
Black.
Matters.
Trip. Trippy.
15 years old. Mushrooms.
Fast.
And not that furious.
Animal.
Ooh.
Space.
Hold on.
Back to animal.
Animal. Sloth, brother.
Dang.
Claws.
Well, you know the next one. Space.
Time continuum.
Maze.
Runner. Like that movie. Fucking, I'll run that maze right now.
Army.
Army of the dead. Let's do it.
Drugs.
In the past.
Air.
In abundance.
Pendulum.
Always keep in motion.
Native American.
My brother Fournier.
Scar.
Lion King.
School.
Oh, dude. Hey, Arnold. That's cool right there.
Magic.
The Gathering.
Computer.
Hard drives.
Superhero.
Hard drives. Superhero Spawn. What's up? Don't forget about him. He's sick as shit.
Bringing it back. Comedy.
Passion.
Bleach.
Buttholes.
Fame.
Don't need it.
Ham water.
Might need it.
MuseMe.
MuseMe TV, man. Keeps rocking.
That's rapid fire.
What's up?
Everybody's done it. I'm gonna make a compilation video of everyone at the end and just like put them all together and be like everyone's answer, because you get some weird shit if you do it fast. Like it's supposed to be like some psychological test to see how people think. So
hell yeah.
Dude,
well, thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it. This was dope.
Got to come back.
No, we'll do it for sure.
Do it again. Thanks to everybody for watching. You have any handles or something you want to
Yeah, for sure. I got a bunch of plugs real quick. So I got Bob Saget coming up at the Star this weekend. That's Friday and Saturday. Next Friday, I got Battle of the Sexes at Tractor Brewery. Saturday, I'm hosting the Essie Award Show. The 8th, I'll be at Buffalo Thunder. Then February 20th through the 23rd, I'll be in Denver. And the weekend after is my canteen show. Check my Instagram, Zach Abeyta Comedy, for all my schedules. Zach Abeyta on Facebook. I got a little bit of stuff on YouTube as well. Check it out. Thank you.
That's what's up, man. Thanks for coming, bro.
For sure.
Peace.
Peace.
Later, everybody.